Ladies and gentlemen, here is a powerful and compelling introduction for your motivational speech based on the topic 13 Powerful Things to Tell Yourself Every Morning. Inspired by Shi Heng Yi's teachings, every day, the moment we wake up, we are presented with a powerful opportunity, the chance to shape our mindset before the world shapes it for us. In a world full of noise, pressure, and expectations, it is easy to forget the quiet strength that lies within us. But what if you could start each morning with clarity, purpose, and unshakable inner strength? What if, before stepping out into the chaos of the world, you reminded yourself of the truths that awaken your highest self? Inspired by the wisdom of Shi Heng Yi, a master of discipline, self-awareness, and inner peace, this speech invites you on a journey inward, a journey where your first words of the day aren't reactions to stress, but affirmations of power. These are not just positive thoughts, these are powerful reminders that can rewire your focus, reset your energy, and reawaken your potential. This isn't about motivation that fades in a few hours, this is about mental training, about self-command, about creating a spiritual and emotional anchor in the first 5 minutes of your day. These 13 powerful things to tell yourself every morning are not just phrases, they are disciplines. They are weapons and they are shields. Your first thoughts shape your entire day. Speak with intention, not reaction. The moment your eyes open in the morning, your mind is at its most vulnerable and most powerful state. It has not yet been influenced by emails, social media, news, or the opinions of others. It is a blank slate, a field waiting to be seeded, and what you choose to plant in that mental soil will determine the emotional and psychological tone of your entire day. Most people reach for their phones within seconds of waking, instantly bombarding their brain with external stimuli, distractions, and comparisons. This reactive behavior programs the mind to respond rather than to lead. But when you speak to yourself with intention at the very start of your day, you choose to become the author of your experience instead of a passive participant in it. Intention is the power behind mindfulness, clarity, and purpose. When you wake up and immediately ground yourself with powerful, conscious thoughts, you are taking command of the day before the day takes command of you. You are telling your mind what to focus on, what to value, and what to believe. Instead of letting your mind run wild with doubt, fear, or distractions, you are directing it toward calm, focus, and self-belief. Speaking with intention isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It's about aligning with what matters most and setting your internal compass toward growth, strength, and inner peace. You're deciding what energy you carry, and that decision echoes throughout every interaction, task, and challenge you face. This process doesn't require hours. It requires awareness. Even 1 minute of deliberate thought can transform your mental state. Whether it's saying, "I am focused," "I am in control," or "I move with purpose," these words carry power because they become the frame through which your mind processes reality. Just as a lens changes how we see an image, your self-talk changes how you see the world. Intentional words shift your posture, your energy, and even your breathing. They quiet the mental noise and invite clarity. Without this awareness, the mind defaults to old scripts, habits of negativity, self-doubt, comparison, or anxiety. These automatic thoughts are like weeds that grow when the soil is unattended. But speaking with intention is like gardening your inner space. You choose what grows, you decide what stays, and over time, this morning practice becomes more than a habit. It becomes a ritual of mental discipline. It is a moment where you don't just wake up physically, but wake up spiritually and emotionally. The mind, when left untended, clings to whatever is loudest, but intentional self-talk makes your values louder than your fears. It reminds you of who you are and who you are becoming. You're not waiting for confidence to arrive, you're building it. You're not hoping for clarity, you're choosing it. You're not reacting to the world, you're commanding your place within it. When you consciously shape your first thoughts, you set a tone that resists chaos and embraces calm. You program focus, you activate purpose, you lead your day rather than being led by it. In the early moments of the day, your mental state is malleable. Your brain is moving out of the theta and alpha states, those subconscious, creative, and suggestible zones. This is when affirmations and internal dialogue can go deep and create lasting impressions. This is when your thoughts have the most access to the roots of your behavior, so what you say to yourself matters deeply. It doesn't have to be long, but it must be true. It must be aligned with the person you want to be, not the patterns you want to leave behind. Daily affirmations are not clichés. They are conscious commands to your subconscious. Every word you speak to yourself carries a vibration, a signal that travels deep into the layers of your mind. While many dismiss affirmations as empty phrases or motivational fluff, in reality, they are mental instructions, deliberate signals you send to your subconscious to inform it of how to think, feel, and act. The subconscious mind does not judge what is true or false, possible or impossible. It simply absorbs and reacts. It listens quietly to every thought, every repeated phrase, and every emotional pattern, whether spoken out loud or silently repeated. That's why what you tell yourself each morning holds immense power. It's not just feel good talk, it's psychological programming. The mind is like a computer, and affirmations are the code. If you continue to run the same script of self-doubt, unworthiness, or fear, you will keep experiencing the same outcomes. But if you update that code with intention, consistency, and emotion, your internal operating system starts to shift. You begin to see things differently, act differently, and carry yourself with a new sense of certainty. This is not magic. This is neuroscience. Repetition creates reinforcement, and reinforcement creates belief. The brain, through neuroplasticity, begins to rewire itself in response to what you consistently affirm. Words become thoughts, thoughts become beliefs, beliefs become identity, and identity becomes behavior. Each morning presents a new opportunity to interrupt the automatic narratives that have been running in your mind for years. The moment you say, "I am capable," or "I deserve peace," or "I choose discipline," you are not lying to yourself. You are declaring a new reality. You are choosing to believe in something greater than your past patterns. Even if you don't feel confident, repeating "I am confident" plants a seed. It opens a door. It signals to the mind that this is the direction to move toward. Over time, that seed begins to grow through action, reinforcement, and reflection. Affirmations work best when they are spoken with conviction and emotion. The subconscious doesn't respond well to bland repetition. It responds to energy, to intensity, to meaning. When you speak with purpose, when you feel the weight of your words, they begin to anchor deep within you. That's why saying an affirmation isn't just about the words. It's about presence. It's about being fully engaged in that moment, owning your truth, even if that truth is still under construction. It's a commitment to a mindset you are building, not a mask you are wearing. There is a difference between repeating affirmations blindly and using them as conscious commands. Blind repetition can become mechanical and hollow, but when you reflect on what each statement truly means to you, when you understand the value behind "I am focused" or "I am free from negativity," the affirmation turns into a force. It becomes a compass. It becomes a shield against distractions and negative self-talk. You are no longer just reacting to the noise of the world. You are actively tuning your frequency to something higher. Your subconscious doesn't need a long speech, it needs clarity and consistency. Even a few powerful phrases, when repeated daily with awareness, can reshape your mental landscape. The key is repetition and belief. Not blind belief, but a willingness to stay open to change. A willingness to reinforce the positive rather than feed the negative. The more you repeat empowering affirmations, the more natural they become. What once felt like a stretch becomes your new normal. What once felt like wishful thinking becomes your internal truth. Using affirmations is like training a muscle. In the beginning, it may feel uncomfortable or even fake. But with daily practice, the mind starts to adjust. Resistance fades, confidence builds, energy shifts. Your words begin to align with your actions. And your inner world begins to reflect the identity you are choosing every single day you wake up and speak with power. Morning self-talk is mental training. It builds discipline, clarity, and emotional strength. Just like the body needs physical movement to stay strong and healthy, the mind requires conscious engagement to remain focused, resilient, and clear. The words we say to ourselves when we wake up aren't random, they are foundational. They set the rhythm for how we will respond to challenges, how we will face uncertainty, and how we will interact with the world. Self-talk in the early hours is not a motivational luxury. It is a daily ritual of mental conditioning, a sharpening of the inner voice that determines how we lead ourselves through the day. In the same way that a martial artist trains his body every day to respond instinctively in moments of pressure, we must train our minds to respond with awareness, presence, and strength. Morning self-talk is not about avoiding difficulty, but about preparing for it. It is the mental warm-up before the game begins. If we skip this practice, we are more likely to fall into old mental habits, reactions based on fear, stress, or insecurity. But when we train our minds with intentional self-talk, we prepare ourselves to stay grounded, to act from clarity rather than chaos. Discipline begins in the mind, not in the action. When you consistently speak to yourself with focus and intention, you are laying down the mental blueprint for a disciplined life. You are reminding yourself of your standards, your goals, and your values. You are choosing alignment over distraction. Even simple affirmations like "I follow through," "I take action with clarity," or "I rise above excuses" serve as powerful reminders that discipline is not something we wait for. It's something we cultivate, one thought at a time. Clarity, too, is not something that randomly appears. It comes from removing the mental clutter that builds up from comparison, doubt, and outside noise. Morning self-talk is your opportunity to wipe the lens clean. It allows you to tune out the world and tune into yourself. When you wake up and speak with direction, you begin to sort through what matters and what doesn't. You create a mental hierarchy where your intentions rise to the top and distractions begin to fade. This clarity affects how you plan your day, how you manage your energy, and how you make decisions. Emotional strength, the ability to stay calm, steady, and present in the face of pressure, begins with how you speak to yourself. When you tell yourself, "I am calm under pressure," or "I trust myself to handle what comes," you are not pretending. You are building emotional pathways that support strength. You are reinforcing the mindset of someone who does not panic but responds. Someone who does not collapse under stress but adapts. Morning self-talk helps you rehearse these emotions in a safe space so you can call upon them when it matters most. Mental training through morning self-talk also builds self-respect. It tells your subconscious that your words matter, that your voice has weight. The more consistently you speak with intention, the more aligned your internal world becomes. You stop needing external validation because you have built an internal relationship of trust. You trust yourself to guide your thoughts. You trust yourself to choose perspective over panic. You trust yourself to rise, not shrink. Just as athletes condition their muscles with repetition, consistency, and intensity, you condition your mind with the same tools. The discipline to speak to yourself every morning, even when you don't feel like it, strengthens your mental resilience. It builds the muscle of commitment. It develops the voice within you that says, "I lead my thoughts, I shape my day, I direct my energy." And over time, this practice doesn't just influence your mornings. It transforms your entire identity. Morning self-talk becomes more than a habit. It becomes your internal code. It becomes the way you train your mind to stay sharp, stay focused, and stay strong regardless of the external conditions.